Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we are covering a major and highly significant development in global politics that could potentially change the course of one of the most devastating conflicts of our time. U.S. President Donald Trump is set to meet Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy at Mar-a-Lago in Florida to discuss a possible peace plan aimed at ending the Russia-Ukraine war. This meeting has drawn international attention because it comes at a time when the war has entered a critical phase, with continued violence, heavy Russian airstrikes, and growing pressure on global leaders to find a diplomatic solution. The Russia-Ukraine war, which began in February 2022, has resulted in massive loss of life, destruction of cities, displacement of millions of people, and long-term economic and political consequences not only for Eastern Europe, but for the entire world. Despite multiple attempts at ceasefires, negotiations, and international mediation, the conflict has continued with no permanent resolution. Now, as we approach the end of 2025, hopes are once again being raised with this high-profile meeting between Trump and Zelenskyy. According to reports, President Zelenskyy is bringing a detailed peace framework to the table, often described as a nearly finalized plan that outlines security guarantees for Ukraine, reconstruction efforts, humanitarian relief, and a roadmap toward ending hostilities. The Ukrainian leadership believes that U.S. involvement, particularly under President Trump, could be decisive in pushing the peace process forward. The United States remains Ukraine's most powerful ally, both militarily and diplomatically, and any serious peace effort is unlikely to succeed without Washington's backing. President Trump, who has repeatedly stated that he wants to bring an end to the war through negotiation rather than prolonged conflict, sees this meeting as an opportunity to assert U.S. leadership on the global stage. His approach emphasizes deal-making, diplomacy, and leveraging America's influence to force a settlement. Trump has previously claimed that strong leadership and direct talks could end the war faster than continued military escalation, a stance that has gained both supporters and critics. However, while the meeting itself is historic, many analysts are urging caution. One of the biggest concerns is the absence of Russia from these talks. Any peace agreement that does not directly involve Moscow faces serious limitations. Russia remains a central party in the conflict, and without its participation, even the most carefully designed peace plan may struggle to achieve lasting results. Critics argue that while U.S.-Ukraine coordination is important, peace cannot be imposed unilaterally. Adding to the complexity, Russia has intensified airstrikes across Ukraine in recent days, including attacks on key infrastructure and urban areas. These strikes have sent a clear message that Moscow is not easing military pressure, even as diplomatic discussions take place elsewhere. This contrast between diplomacy and battlefield escalation highlights the fragile and uncertain nature of the peace process. Another major issue likely to be discussed during the Trump-Zelenskyy meeting is territorial integrity. Ukraine has consistently stated that it will not accept the permanent loss of its territories. Regions that remain under Russian control continue to be a major obstacle to any agreement. For Ukraine, sovereignty and territorial unity are non-negotiable principles, while Russia has shown little willingness to withdraw without significant concessions. Security guarantees are also expected to be a central focus. Ukraine is seeking long-term assurances that it will not face future aggression. This includes military support, defense commitments, and possibly arrangements similar to collective security agreements. Whether the United States is prepared to offer such guarantees remains an open question and could determine the success or failure of the talks. From a broader perspective, this meeting is not just about Ukraine. It has implications for NATO, European security, U.S.-Russia relations, and the global balance of power. European allies are closely watching the talks, as any peace deal would directly affect their security and economic stability. Many European leaders support diplomatic efforts, but remain cautious about any agreement that might reward aggression or undermine international law. Domestically, this meeting also carries political significance for President Trump. Successfully advancing peace talks could strengthen his image as a global deal-maker and reinforce his foreign policy narrative. On the other hand, failure to achieve progress could expose him to criticism from opponents who argue that diplomacy without Russia's participation is ineffective. As the talks unfold at Mar-a-Lago, expectations remain mixed. Optimists believe this meeting could lay the groundwork for broader negotiations that eventually include Russia. Skeptics warn that without Moscow at the table, the process may stall or produce only symbolic outcomes. What is clear, however, is that the world is watching closely. In conclusion, the Trump-Zelenskyy meeting represents one of the most important diplomatic moments of late 2025. It reflects renewed efforts to find a peaceful resolution to a war that has reshaped global politics and caused immense human suffering. While challenges remain, including Russia's absence and unresolved territorial disputes, this meeting could mark the beginning of a new phase in the search for peace. Whether it leads to a breakthrough or becomes another missed opportunity will depend on what follows next, especially whether all parties are ultimately willing to engage in meaningful dialogue. Stay with us as we continue to monitor this developing story and bring you the latest updates from around the world.